There's a very clear reason why your online business isn't scaling. It's very simple, and it's because you don't have your leads, sales, and delivery process dialed in. Right now, you're running a circus, not a business. Most online business owners are actually cowboys. They're not business owners. So as a result, I want this video to be a very drilled down version of how you can build an actual business, not a circus and not as a cowboy. And I'm doing this from someone who's built over 200 content businesses directly or indirectly. We have many clients that we actually manage hands-on, where we build this process for them and roll out. We have many clients who follow this model and we coach them on the process too. And we have many clients who we actually implement an entire sales system. We manage the reps, we manage closers and setters, and do all of the sales management. And I'm telling you this because this process is repeated throughout everything we do. And also, after this video, you can put this process straight into your business and implement it right away. So this is going to be the most valuable video you can possibly watch right now on how to scale your online business. So if you've been hitting your head against the wall and looking for clues under the couch, behind the sofa, this video is for you. And in this video, I'm going to show you our exact model, how we scale businesses from 0 to 100K a month in our program Apex. Apex is my inner circle mentorship that I work hands-on with 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs to scale their business. And we do it through sales and offers. Having the right offer in place and having the right sales system in place. This means having setters, closers, as well as a sales management process for them to get amazing results. And we manage absolutely everything down to the detail, and I'm going to give you a full insight into that process as to how you can do this in your business right now. And if you like it and you want to go a step further, there's also going to be a way for you to work with me down below in the description. So let's get straight into it. This is our exact framework that we've built many businesses far beyond 100K a month. This is going to be every single thing that you need to be able to grow your business. And I'm going to go through the full model. At a high level first, I want to show you exactly what it is, and I'm going to go through every single point. We have leads, sales, and delivery. That is the only thing that matters inside of your business. Everything else just doesn't matter, right? If someone is sick, it doesn't matter. If the Wi-Fi goes out in Bangladesh, it doesn't matter. If someone's looking for a raise, it doesn't really matter. What really matters is getting this down. Then you can give the raise, then you can have better employees, then you can have better team members, and then everything just works on autopilot. The mental model that I follow for a lot of times is, what is the one thing that, if solved, will fix everything else inside of my business? That's all I ask. That's all I think about. And knowing that, I just follow that down and I look at it through this lens. And I split everything into 2 different verticals: acquisition and retention, okay? Because just as important as acquiring customers are, it means absolutely nothing if you are a cowboy and they all fall out the back. And I've seen this. We get deployed into many businesses and they are just a sinking ship. They're losing clients more than they're acquiring clients, which is a massive red flag. And then they can't even acquire clients, which is even a bigger red flag. So I want to walk you through this process, and it actually doesn't start in this order. It starts down here in delivery. Okay, the first thing that we do as part of the ecosystem model is look at the delivery of the actual offer. Because if you can't scale your offer, you are actually screwed, right? The simple mental model is, if you should be able to 10x your fulfillment overnight and nothing changes. So 10 times as many people come into your program and you have no issue. If you can do that, you've reached scale in your business. Otherwise, you're not scaling. You're not even growing. You're just doing more work. And, there's only 24 hours in a day. There's only so many people you can hire. There's only so many headaches you can have. So you need a model that works basically all day, every day. And this is exactly how it's designed, okay? This example here is looking specifically at our ecosystems of offers, okay? This is the delivery mechanism. We want to have a world of offers that people can come in to experience what we do. More on that later as to how we qualify people and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, you will have a few things. We started as a service business and we started out as an agency service business. So I have that here. We have an offer that's roughly 5K a month. It's like a year up front. So you're looking at anywhere between, let's say, like 50, 60K for that offer. We want to keep people. This is super important. We want to keep people. So we make sure that we over deliver. We have an amazing offer. We're giving people great at work. We're giving people great results, and we're getting them the result immediately. That's super important. That's what keeps people retained. Retention, retained, retainer. They come back. Okay, they come back. Then we have our more scalable service offerings, which is our group coaching, which is for us called Incubator, and our mentorship, which is called Apex. Now, these can't 10x overnight. The mentorship can't. The group coaching technically can, and a service business can't, but there's constraints around it. Because under the theory of constraints, we have to understand what the constraint is, okay? Because this is a retainer model, we don't need to have a 10x effect immediately. However, we do want that in our group, and we do want that to some effect in our mentorship, depending on how we get the result. Because what's super important here is like, how do you actually get results for people? And our head of client success sits down with me once a week and we answer one question. How can we get people who already pay us the result faster and easier with less headache? Better material, more support, better care, better teachings, whatever that may be. Because the mechanism is literally irrelevant. No one cares how they get to the result. They just want to get to the result. So I could tell you, you could get leads by licking the wall, and someone is just going to lick the wall. It's just reality. It's just what happens. Someone is just bound to do it. So that is why we want to make sure that we have this super, super dialed in. How do we get the result? This depends on price. Price is a huge mechanism and is a huge variable to dictate speed and proximity. Because what we have here are proximity offers. We create proximity offers which are close to me. So in Apex, people have access to me. In our group coaching model, they have access to our head of client success. And in our service offer, they have access to our COO. Okay. But if people want access, they pay for the level of access. And depending on how much they pay is different levels of access. Also depending on speed of result. Group coaching is just going to be slower than mentorship. We've all agreed that. We can all assume that. We can all understand that. The probability of success of a service offer, providing you're actually good, is going to be a lot higher than someone going to figure it out on their own. But obviously that's to do with the price. So price is now higher. Therefore, that's going to dictate a lot of things, right? It's going to make a lot of changes as a result. So we need to understand price, proximity. How do they move side by side? And then you have a series of back-end offers. So what can happen here is someone can ascend from group coaching to mentorship. And from mentorship, they can go into masterminds. From group coaching, they can go into mastermind. And from service offers, they can also ascend into a mastermind. We have elasticity of offers. That means we never ever kick someone through a funnel. We just showcase them our actual model, and they can take a pick depending on where they are in their journey and where they are on their own business cycle and business journey in that moment of time. Because not everyone has to be going 24/7. They may want to go a bit slower in group. They may want to reduce capacity in service, or they may want to go fast as hell in mentorship. Okay, that's the beautiful part about here. And then you have back-end offers and LTV as a result. So right now we're recording this in coming up to the beginning of May. Over 30% of our revenue in 2025 has been to do with retainer clients. So of the people that have paid in 2025, those people have paid more, and 30% of our total revenue is to do with retainer, not 2024. This is excluding clients from 2024. And we have clients from 2024, clients from 2023, and clients from 2022. Think about that for a moment. If you have your retention dialed in, you can build a 6-figure business 100%, 7-figure business more than likely, and maybe an 8-figure business without any of the acquisition. And I say this because we haven't built an 8-figure business yet, but without this model here, we're not going to. We're not going to. So we always fix the delivery mechanism first. This is super important. I focus on fixing delivery first, and after that then everything becomes a little bit easier. So what's the first step after that? Well, within Apex and within your business, what you need is leads. You need leads, otherwise you don't have a business, you run a circus. Let's keep it very clear. There is no business without leads. You need leads coming through the door every single day, working with you, asking questions, inquiring, hitting downloads, hitting submission forms, all that kind of stuff. They need to come daily. You need daily clients. You need daily leads that are coming in to the ecosystem. They're showing interest. Did I say buyers? No. People do not buy every single day. They will buy when they are ready. We'll walk through the buying process, but you need leads coming off the top. Here is how we do this. We create YouTube videos that are either authority building or association authority. Association authority is podcast. I'll work with, a really big online business bro. We'll record a podcast. It is association through authority. Then there's clear authority videos, which is my tactical videos like this, which showcase that I'm not a potato for the most part. Then on top of that, we will have Instagram content. Instagram content will show my values, show my model, show my mechanism, show my modality, and have a hint of offers in there, which we'll come back to in a minute. And then on LinkedIn, we have just pure value. Value content, very, very heavy on the authority. And this starts conversations. That is all that matters. You need to start conversations every single day. This is how we acquire clients. This is acquisition. These are the acquisition channels that you only need. Twitter, Reddit, they're all like swamp pits. Don't need them. Total waste of time. This is the stuff that actually builds an actual business and actual credibility. You don't need all the other dumb stuff, okay? These conversations will just continue in perpetuity. They will just continue forever. We will open up more conversations. My recommendation here is 50 a day new conversations, 50 a day follow-ups. Track it like your life depends on it. Within Apex, we have all of these tracking sheets that are there 24/7 that setters can come and actually add in their details every single day. Because we can see how many conversations they open, how many conversations they start, how many conversations they finish, and knowing exactly how many conversations they have. And by the end of the month, we should have at least 1,000 new conversations started and 1,000 follow-ups. That's 2,000 people in circulation for your offer that come off the top of your content. Because with our content, we are not talking about random BS that no one cares about. We are talking about very strategic stuff that help people get the result ASAP, fast as possible. Then the DM conversations keep that conversation going 24/7. And then from here, we have DM setting, okay? Now, you're probably wondering, what's this big black arrow? What does this big black arrow do? And this is our secret sauce. Because within here, we have sales management. This is how we have built a 300K, 350K, close to 400K a month business, because we insert appointment setters. Because unlike you and your work, you don't have unlimited time. Whereas a 21-year-old online business bro has all the time in the world. All he does is go to the gym and send DMs. Straight up. He doesn't need to be doing anything else. He doesn't need to be in clubs. He doesn't need to be in parties. He doesn't need to be dating. He doesn't need to be on Tinder. He just needs to send DMs on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and get calls booked in. That's all you got to do. When you're in your 20s, you got nothing else to do but the gym and work. This is why we insert appointment setters into this ecosystem and ramp all the volume. Yes, we got to train them. Yes, we got to make sure that they're good. Yes, we got to make sure they don't say things that are cringy and really, really weird. But for the most part, that can be taught. All of this stuff can be taught. It is not magic. People are building rockets. This is literally just talking to people that you're not a potato. It's very, very simple. But the order is important because sequencing is super important. Because what we do is we create content, and most content creators are broke, bear in mind. So they just stay up here, okay, in content creation land and are super, super broke. They're too proud to send a DM, so they don't even get to this point. Think of how wild this is. Look at our model and look at how crazy it is that most content creators don't even start. They don't even start the process, and they're wondering why they're broke. It's actually amazing to see this. I don't really understand how someone can go through their life not knowing that you actually need to engage with people. Like, it's literally wild. So we have appointment setters that speak to people. You just need one. And if that guy gets, too overburdened, you put a second one in, and he sets and puts people into a call funnel. Okay. There's setting involved. He puts people in the call funnel. He figures out what their pain is, what their problem is. He walks through it very elegantly. It's like, hey, Johnny, I saw that you like to post on how to scale your business. Where are you currently in your business? Oh, okay. You're struggling to get your first client. What have you done? Oh, you haven't done any content. Interesting. Have you thought about putting on content? What's the offer you have? Have you refined the offer? We need to find pain. Once there's pain, there's the gain. There's the gain that you can gain. There's a gain that he can gain because there's actual pain that's been described. And he has described it to you, which is a form of self-admission. And people need to admit that they have a problem before they actually go change the problem. It's a super important point. They need to understand that they have a problem. Otherwise, what are we doing? Right? That's the reason why people book up calls that are total BS, that don't work, don't do anything, basically. So this is how we overcome that. And then they set, okay? Super important. They set. When they set, we got to make sure that we actually have a call funnel, okay? We got to make sure that we have a clear call funnel that shows people that this is an intake call. It's not a discovery call. It's not a trap, okay? We're not going to get on and just talk about our feelings, basically. It's an actual intake call to see, can we help them, right? Straight up, you can be clear with people. You can tell people it's a sales call. We're checking, is this a good fit for you? If it's a good fit for you, we will provide the best solution for you. Very clear. There's many people who are actually my friends, and I would just ring and be like, hey, dude, I can definitely help you with this. I can help you with the podcast. I can help you with your offer. I can help you with your sales process. Do you mind if we have a bit of a chat? And they're like, yeah, absolutely, dude. I hate not being good at stuff. I'm like, awesome. Because you, as the business owner, has figured out how to solve problem and thing in general. And that's what we need to do for other people, okay? So the DM setting process involves having a very clear call structure. And I mean, the call funnel has to be super detailed too. So not only have you set them on DMs, but your call funnel is super detailed. The questions you ask, look at their problems, where they want to get to, their current revenue, their future revenue, why they want to work with you, and all the different things that are main triggers that you as the business owner or the closer, which we'll come to in a second, are able to identify and problem solve, okay? Because at this point, you've created content, you've started conversations, you've found problems, you found leads, and now you're in a position to actually book them on to calls, okay? We then get to this point, which is called the sales process, which again, most creators never get to, most business owners never get to, because the business owner doesn't get to the sales process because they don't create content. So they are too proud to create content, and they're quite frankly too arrogant. So they're too arrogant to create content, and they think that they're better in content. And as a result, then they don't actually have a way to actually make money, and then they can't pay their electricity bill, and then they blame the government, and then next thing you know, they're blaming random influencers online. So we get to this point whereby we bring them into the sales process. Now, if you are a sell by chat bro and you're afraid of Zoom and you're afraid of Google Meets, that's okay. I'm here to help you. But you have this option to make. You have this decision to make, which is, do you sell by chat or do you take sales calls? If you want to make more money, you have to take a sales call. Let's just be straight up. You can sell by chat, but the sell by chat bros don't track their metrics around sell by chat. Therefore, they hide in the numbers, knowing that the numbers are really bad. Therefore, they say, it's okay. It's a lifestyle business. I don't want to track numbers. And as a result, they're broke, okay? But there's a few guys that get it right. And there's a few of the big guys that are online that get it right. I will give them that. But you do need to track the numbers. So if you're using a type form, or an application form, you need to track how much people do you send the application form to, how much people complete the application form, how much people respond to the application form, and then how much people of the people that respond to the application form actually buy your stuff. Because that process is actually just a sales call. You have to do the same thing whereby you have to speak to someone, showcase that they have a problem, showcase it's a gap, and then provide the actual pitch of your actual problem, okay? And you have to handle all the pre-objections, you have to handle all the post-objections to make sure that that's actually clear, okay? But before we get to this process, I like to do a thing which I call the indoctrination flow, which is people who come in from warm traffic from content or cold traffic if you run ads, they need to be warmed up and indoctrinated to what you do. So to become indoctrinated into what you need to do, they need to follow out a very clear structure. So that means thank you video after the book your call. We need to handle all the pre-objections. That will also mean you need to send over a series of case studies and testimonials. So I'm looking at anywhere between 5 and 10 emails before they book a call. That's just case study, win, testimonial, your story, case study. Just ding, 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 ding. And it has to come in like that so that they know, all right, Darren knows his shit. He might be slightly psychotic, but it's all okay. At least he can help me grow my business, basically. So that's all that matters. So we need to understand that process and make sure that it's very, very detailed, okay? And then we get to the most important part, which is the sales process. So part of the indoctrination flow is that we need to make sure that people come ready. To come ready, there needs to be a series of things done. We have the email flow. We have the qualification. We have a way for them to come in and understand what we're doing. But we would also need to triage this because the same setter who books them should be the same setter who triages them. And I would triage on WhatsApp. Very simple. Hey, Darren, looking forward to the chat tomorrow. It calls at 1 p.m. Please make sure to not take it from a random coffee shop in Canggu, Bali, and please take it from an actual office because you're an adult, right? We need to set the expectations, because if expectations are not set, people will walk over your boundaries. We need to set the expectation, make sure that it's very, very clear. And then we can install closers, or you can actually just get better at closing, basically one or the other. You can either take the calls yourself or you get someone to take the calls. But the main thing is that someone takes the calls, right? Because even the Sell by Chat Bros have closers that work off of like WhatsApp or DM or whatnot, right? They'll tell you that they don't, but they actually do, because we need someone to handle the volume. Because the goal up here is to start booking as many calls as possible. A good conservative way to do it is, if you're booking like 5 calls yourself, an appointment setter could book around 20 calls a week. And then if you have 2 appointment setters, you could probably book 40 calls a week for the most part. If your offer is good, if it's scalable, if it's in the right market, if it's right enough time, all this kind of stuff, okay? So we're just going to make sure that all of that is taken care of. But then the sales call becomes very simple, because the sales call is basically like, hey, Darren, you have seen process. Process has sounded good to you so far. What questions do you have about the program? And then you might say, well, you know, I'm not too sure when the calls are. I actually travel. I'm in Dubai, all this kind of stuff. So we got to make sure that we pre-handle that. But the questions are less about who you are and more about what is it that you can get out of the program. Or if you have multiple offers, it's about which program is the best fit for them. Because that's kind of what happens sometimes. For us, people book and they might want to come to the incubator, but they're better suited for Apex. But then they realize they don't want to do any of the work, so they might come into core, basically, for the most part, okay? So it just depends, all right? You got to be able to kind of guide people as well at the same time if you're doing that. But you need to understand what you're actually helping them with, okay? Which is super important. So how we've run our sales calls for many, many years is we want to go through a process whereby, of course, we're building rapport, okay? And truly understanding where they are, right? And like where they are in their journey. We want to identify problem. Okay, so what is that problem that they conveyed, whether they conveyed it in DM or conveyed it in the application form or sent it over beforehand as well? What's that problem? Then we need to basically cause pain and doubt, which is, can they actually do it, right? Because you may have a problem like losing weight, but if you don't know how to track your calories, then you technically will never lose weight, right? You're not going to be able to actually understand that because you don't understand problem awareness, what the problem is. And then there needs to be an element of self-admission. So the next stage could be self-admission, which would be, hey, like basically we've identified that this is a problem. Is this a problem to you? Yes, I've identified that I'm overweight and I'm kind of fat and I want to solve it. And that's how you're going to go and solve it. Then we want to move into financial qualification. And if you're enjoying this video, guys, let me know. If you want more training specifically on sales, I'm happy to create more videos on this. But we want to basically have a point whereby we qualify them financially. Looking at the spouse, we're looking at the other relationships that are actually next to them and seeing, are these people actually blockers for you getting the result, or is it just a smokescreen? We handle all of these pre-objections in advance, so we make sure that they're self-admission bought in, there's no financial qualification issues, there's no spouse issues, no business partner issues, there is pain, there is problem, and then there is imagery, a future state. Where do they want to get to? What's the goal they want to get to? And that's also part of Gap Selling. So Gap Selling by Keenan is an amazing book. It's my favorite book in the world. And that basically conveys the gap between where they are right now and where they want to get to in the future. Because if we're able to convey that gap to people, they can see, damn, I don't have the skills. I don't have the ability. I don't have the tricks. I don't have the hacks. What am I going to do? Well, Darren can teach me sales. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to learn this and I'm going to come in and get it done. And it's like, okay, dude, let's go. So after that process, we have self-admission, they notice a problem, and for the most part, I usually just stop and I wait for them to ask us about the program. And then we'd walk through what the process would look like. We'd walk through exactly what we do, and then we'd get a temperature check. So where they currently are in their journey, and how does this feel, the process from 1 to 10. 1 is that they hate us and they never want to talk to us again. 10 is that they're a ready fit. If the temperature check is good, 8 or above, we just move forward. And then you want to push people then into understanding, okay, are they ready to go? Because, you know, their process bought, price becomes irrelevant. We're always trying to get to a point whereby process is bought, price becomes irrelevant. And that's what a good sales process is. We're handling all the objections. We're moving into post objection what sort of issues that they may have and issues they may arrive. And then when they start coming with some objections, like let's say, I need to think about it or speak to my spouse, we've already pre-handled those. So we can see, is it just an excuse? Is it a smokescreen? We can call it out. We can navigate it. We can work with it. But if you don't do that process in the beginning, it's not actually possible to break it out. And that's why a lot of the financial objections and the financial qualification questions you need actually overcome that on the call. Because if someone's saying that they're making 5K a month and basically the program is 2K, well, then they can technically afford it, right? Does that make sense? So they've brought in all of those issues in advance. And then at that point, you might get some issues around payment plans, payment structures, or maybe if it's a service based on volume and capacity, and you can kind of work those things out. What I always say to a lot of my clients is you don't want to basically fold on a payment objection just because you're looking to get the deal done. You want to understand, is the objection a smokescreen? Are they trying to basically divvy out the payments to improve cash flow? Or what actually is the underlying problem? Because if it's just someone who's a bit hesitant, you could just pre-handle that. You could handle that objection and then just basically just get them over the line. I think that's what happens a lot of times with us, is that I will just try to sit in the silence to understand what the objection is, try to understand the client at a deeper level. And then at that point, we're able to move forward with them overall. And then they move into this part, which is entering the ecosystem. And the most important part here is that when they enter, we want to make sure that our customer success is super dialed in. We have one-to-ones with all of our clients, with all of our offers. They straight away when they come in, they get an onboarding call, they get one-to-ones, they get close access, they know exactly who they're working with, they know exactly the team, they know the team structure, they know where to get help, they know where to look. Everything becomes super obvious. Because let me be clear, if this isn't clear to your customers, they will run. They will not be able to keep up with the pace. They will feel lost. They will feel overwhelmed. And we need to make this as simple as possible. I almost prefer over-coaching than under-coaching. I prefer to show someone and really hold their hand and just feel like that they're just part of like a thing that actually matters, versus like a random school community that no one cares about, and like they're just thrown into this massive dumpster fire, right? So that's not going to build your business. What will build your business is a simple model like this. And then what happens? They come in and then you repeat the process. You get back to creating good YouTube videos, Instagram Reels, LinkedIn posts, all that kind of stuff. You keep pumping out amazing content, and then this feeds the machine. Now, this is a flywheel. This is not basically a hand pump. This means that every time you do it, it gets stronger. Every YouTube video puts out gets better. Every lead you speak to gets better. Every call you take gets better. The close rate starts going up, and the improvements start going up. And the most important part here is that we start to track our data. The biggest thing I do inside of Apex is I teach our clients how to track the most important parts of their data, which is how much total calls do you book, what's your show rate, what's your close rate, what's your RPC, revenue per call, what's the cash collected, what's the back-end revenue, how much is your CAC, so how much does it cost to acquire clients, which by the way is your ads, plus your commission, plus your OPEX for sales and marketing. And then most importantly, what's your LTV to CAC? These are very important metrics that you need to understand. And we've gone even more detailed to understanding the traffic source. Where do we get our leads from? We started to look at as well how much leads close from cold traffic versus warm traffic. And we can make educated decisions on this. If you don't have your metrics dialed in, you are literally making stuff up. You're just making it up. So you will have a better experience in your business if you're able to track the numbers clearly. And this is quite simply how we've been able to do this across all of our clients again and again and again. And look, some of these guys are starting out making 5K a month, then they end up making 30K a month, 40K a month. Some have gone all up to 100K a month with a simple, streamlined process. You have the leads dialed in, you have appointment setters, you have a sales process, you're closing the deals yourself, or you have someone closing them for you, and then you have an ecosystem of offers and models that are able to showcase exactly what you do. And my final question for you is, how would that change your business if you were to have a simple turnkey sales system, a way to drive leads every single day, and a delivery model that's not from hell but actually from heaven? Because the reality is, for me, it's changed absolutely everything, and same for all of my clients.